Welcome everyone for this informational webinar for our Mount Sinai BioDesign MedTech OR Bootcamp. We're really excited to share some of this upcoming event, give a little preview and highlight of what you can expect, and we hope to see you attend later this spring. So just a quick overview of what we're going to cover in roughly the next 20 to 30 minutes. Give a quick introduction to Mount Sinai BioDesign as a whole. Some of you may be familiar with our work. Those of you who aren't, we'll give it a kind of overview on how we do innovation in the clinical setting here at Mount Sinai. Then we'll talk about the MedTech OR Bootcamp specifically, which is a new opportunity for professional development geared towards clinical specialists, but potentially applicable to a whole lot of different parties in the MedTech industry. We've got both Dr. Joshua Betterson and Dr. Benjamin Rappaport here to give a few, talk a little bit about their experiences in this space and why this course is exciting and why you should attend. We'll talk a little bit about a exclusive professional networking reception tied to the course, cover some logistics and FAQs, and then there'll be some time for Q&A with the audience. So first, to introduce Mount Sinai BioDesign and the structured innovation and surgery that we practice here. We embody the biodesign process as pioneered by Stanford Biodesign, driven by user-based innovation. And so this involves needs identification, rapid iteration, and iterative prototyping, a focus on very rapid feedback from key opinion leaders and translational development. And so our group is really embedded inside the Mount Sinai health system, working side by side with the clinicians who are encountering pressing clinical problems every day. And we work iteratively with them. We work collaboratively with them to produce kind of rapid improvements and rapid developments in technology that ultimately sees its way back into the operating room. And so we're not really just a research lab. We like to think of ourselves as a product lab. And if medical innovation wasn't exciting enough, we often like to use the metaphor of biodesign as an F1 team. And much like an F1 team and an F1 car, it's a highly skilled field with a highly skilled driver, which is the surgeon in this case, but also a lot of other highly skilled contributors, right? These are very complicated machines and systems that require a lot of different expertise in different domains. And that really represents the entire MedTech innovation ecosystem that supports that crucial driver. And much like an F1 team, you want your test track in close proximity to where you're doing your innovation and development. And so what we like to think of Mount Sinai BioDesign as is really a test track for medical device technologies, a place where you can come and try an idea very quickly and iteratively bring it back into the lab and make a new improvement, bring it back, iterate, make a new improvement, and really close that loop on medical device development to make it as quick and efficient as possible. And so this is really an end-to-end process that we're involved in. We're there in the operating rooms observing the tools themselves, the accessories that are part of the surgery, even the downstream effects of using these different tools. We engage with key opinion leader feedback, physician feedback, and of course, rely on a strong intellectual and academic base for all of our work as well. Additionally, we walk through virtually every step of the prototyping process, from the kind of messy wires out benchtop models to more refined prototypes and ultimately into cadaver and animal systems. I also want to highlight kind of what the manifestation of these activities look like. We've had a very busy few years with the group. We just hosted an inaugural brain-computer interface symposium at the New York Academy of Medicine, which was very well attended and really brought together thought leaders from the BCI space from the entire region and around the world. We also were recently awarded a $11.6 million grant to launch the Comprehensive Center for Surgical Innovation. That was an award from New York City's Economic Development Corporation. And I think especially with Dr. Rappaport and Dr. Betterson on the call, highlighting our work in the brain-computer interface space. We're involved with both efforts from Precision Neuroscience, which Ben works with, and also Synchron, which Tom Oxley, another member of the biodesign team, is the founder of. And so all of that is really the setup for our interest in the MedTech OR Bootcamp. We've over the years of doing our work in biodesign, both internally and with industry partners, realized that there's even more opportunity to engage the industry side of that equation, engage the folks who are working, alongside our physicians every day in the operating room, and really teach the systematic innovation approach of the biodesign process to these partners who are so important in translating the learnings that come out of the OR every day. And so this course is really geared to be a 2-day intensive. It's going to be on Thursday and Friday, the 15th and 16th of May of this year. And the focus is on, the tools, techniques, best practices, all the different ways to take learnings from the operating room, the learnings that clinical specialists and support staff are seeing every day, and to relay them back to their development teams in-house to really improve the efficiency and efficacy of this role, which is really a conduit between the clinic and the engineering bench. And so this is going to feature a combination of different sessions. We'll have didactic lectures from physicians, support staff, other key players in the healthcare environment. And we'll also have hands-on sessions with emerging OR tech, both cadaver and syndaver sessions. And so for this first course, we're kind of focusing on a few surgical specialties, including but not limited to neurosurgery, both skull-based and spinal, ear, nose, and throat, orthopedics, and interventional radiology. And so that'll be the kind of focus of the course, but I can say the themes that we're going to be covering are really applicable beyond these fields as well, especially when we look at kind of the crossover spaces of just how broad interventional procedures and crossovering between neurospine and orthospine. We're really focusing on kind of the interoperability of these spaces. And we're going to be featuring some case studies with current biodesign industry partners that we've found to be really exceptional partners and models that we want to instruct additional partners to kind of emulate. And so to kind of drive that home and give some personal experiences, we've got both Dr. Joshua Bederson and Dr. Benjamin Rappaport here to give some testimonials. So I'll introduce them both, and then I'll have Dr. Bederson say some words, and Ben will say some words. But very quickly here, let me pull up some bio. So Dr. Bederson is the Leonard Mallis and Corinne and Joseph Graber Professor and System Chair in the Department of Neurosurgery here at the Mount Sinai Health System. He's a globally recognized leader in skull-based and cerebral vascular neurosurgery, as well as a pioneer in advanced digital visualization and augmented reality for surgery. Dr. Bederson has performed more than 6,500 neurosurgical procedures at Mount Sinai and authored 219 publications and delivered 220 invited lectures. He has co-founded and serves as the executive director of Mount Sinai BioDesign, which drives innovation in neurosurgical technology, among other fields, and is the co-director of the Skull-Based Surgery Center and the Pituitary Care and Research Center. As system chair for neurosurgery, he's led Mount Sinai's Department of Neurosurgery to national prominence, securing $3.7 million in annual NIH funding and $24.2 million in industry support. Under his leadership, the department ranks #1 in NIH funding for neurosurgery in New York State, Blue Ridge rankings, and operates one of the largest neurosurgery programs in the country, spanning 7 hospitals and performing over 6,000 cases annually. With his creation and leadership of Mount Sinai BioDesign, the center has generated a robust patent portfolio, multiple funded startups, and ongoing validation studies, reinforcing the influence in both clinical and commercial neurosurgical advancements. Through Mount Sinai BioDesign, Dr. Bederson serves as the co-PI of that $11.6 million MedTech development grant I mentioned earlier from the New York City Economic Development Corporation. I could go on and on, but I'll let Dr. Bederson say some words and let the slides speak for itself.
Thank you, Joe. I was wondering and hoping this was going to end soon, that part. But I thank you people for coming. Some of you I recognize, and it's great to see you here. And I do think this is an exciting opportunity. I wanted to show a very short video clip to give you a sense of why I think it is important to enhance the relationship between a med tech company representative and what happens in the operating room. So, Joe, I'm just going to share very briefly.
Yep.
This is from a video, one of my favorite videos that one of my chief residents made. And what it shows is in the middle of a resection of a huge meningioma that envelops arteries and nerves. And we have segmented, we've done MRIs and CTs and angiograms. We've imported those into BrainLab and surgical theater software. We've picked out the important structures. We've represented those structures, and we're linked in navigation to those structures, projecting some of those into the eyepieces. And the very most critical part of this operation, as I'm working, the machine tells us I'm about to encounter the PCOM artery, and 1 second later, there it is. So why do I want to share this with you? What do med tech companies do? Well, they support surgery and our patients with products that have been made by your company, informed by surgeons. But how does that process take place? You'll do surveys, you'll go to various meetings, you'll talk to lots of doctors and get feedback. But what do you do as a med tech rep when you're in the operating room? It can be hard for you to know what exactly is the problem that needs to be solved. You're watching an operation, even if you see a surgeon tell you what the problem is, there's something about being embedded and being closely linked to what's happening in the operating room and developing those relationships with the surgeon so that you know what is the problem that's actually the most important. And in this particular case, it was looking just ahead of the anatomy so that I would be warned in time to prevent an injury. So the point of a program like the one that Joe and our team is putting together is to enhance that communication so that you understand what are the specific problems we're trying to address, and then you can bring those back to your own groups. I see that Lewis is here from surgical theater, and he's a good example of someone who spent a lot of time in my operating room and who over time became able to look at what I was doing and adjust the output of surgical theaters, 3D reconstructions during a case to make it more useful. So this course is an attempt to sort of bring that into focus and help you understand some of the problems we're facing, as well as teaching you some of the ways to communicate better in the hospitals that you serve. So I'll stop there. Thank you, Joe.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. I'll get my screen back up. And I'll introduce Ben, and he'll say a few words as well. But Dr. Ben Rappaport is an assistant professor of neurosurgery here at Mount Sinai. He's also the scientific director of Mount Sinai BioDesign, and is a neurosurgeon in our skull-based surgery center, treating patients with a diverse range of conditions and specializing in the diagnosis of minimally invasive surgical treatment of brain tumors and skull-based pathologies. Ben's been involved in biodesign for several years now as the scientific director, and really been a crucial member of the team, helping serve it as a go-between and for our connections in the OR, and really I would say the inspiration for this course and in some of his experiences working with MedTech reps. Ben has a track record of technology translation beyond Mount Sinai as well. He's served as a co-founder of Symbionics, which was acquired by Apple, and in the neurotech space as well as a co-founding member of Neuralink and currently a co-founder of Precision Neurosciences. But Ben, I'll let you say some words as well.
Thanks, and thanks everybody for being here today. We're really excited to be running this inaugural iteration of the course. Dr. Beddison sometimes likes to say that we prototype devices and we prototype processes, and this is kind of an example of the latter. In that example, that analogy that Joe gave to the Formula One test track, this I think is a perfect example, and we think of medical technology innovation as kind of an ecosystem. And the product representatives that we work with, all of you that we work with in the operating room are a key part of that ecosystem. And sometimes what we do in the operating room is working with very mature technologies. And I think one of the things that we love doing here at Mount Sinai, and that we want to, we already are and want to really establish a key leadership position in, is in being that test track for the less mature medical technologies, and helping them grow and develop and hone their products. And unlike almost any other domain of technology, whether it's consumer electronics or software, automotive, in which the end user and the test engineer can sometimes be one and the same, medical technology is unique, almost unique, in that the end user is a patient or a surgeon. And so it's really hard for the engineers to be involved in the beta testing. And what we've tried to develop at Mount Sinai and through BioDesign is that test track environment in which we can bring together the engineers and the product development teams in a setting in which technologies that are at an earlier stage in their maturation can really be tested in an environment that mimics or mirrors or really is exactly how they're going to be used, and to bring real world feedback back to the product development teams and the engineers back home. And very often, as all of you know, the people bringing that feedback home from the field are the OR reps, all of you. And this course is really about, as Dr. Pedersen mentioned, honing that relationship and developing the skills to be a more effective bridge between the surgeons and the patients, the end users in the field, who are understanding how technologies are deployed, what are their deficiencies, what are their wrinkles, and iteratively improving the product in ways that are going to really make a difference for patients. So that's what this course is all about. That's really what BioDesign is all about. We think that there is really not a professional education course like this out there. We're excited to bring it to all of you. And in keeping with the spirit of the whole thing, we appreciate your being the first group to try it out. And we hope that you'll help us develop it, spread it, and make it as effective as possible, both this year in the inaugural version and in subsequent iterations of the course.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. And thank you, Dr. Pedersen. I do want to highlight as part of this, this course represents a unique opportunity for physicians and OR reps and other players in the industry to come together. And so as part of the course, kind of as an add-on, we're hosting an exclusive professional networking reception tied to the boot camp. So this will bring together, clinicians, industry professionals, and the clinical innovation community all here at Mount Sinai. It'll be the Thursday following the sessions of the course, also here at Mount Sinai at our Center for Innovation and Discovery. And so this will be open to registration from all attendees of the course, potentially other people as well, depending on the amount of space available. And that's also on the FAQ later on. But just wanted to highlight this as kind of something we're hosting as part of this larger effort as well. To get into the logistics and FAQs, the way we're going to handle registration and attendees and materials, there's a registration form on the course website. It'll be sent out to everybody on the webinar. I'm sure you've also gotten a link prior to this, but there's a registration form there. What we're going to want to collect on that form is who's attending. Is it just one person from your company? Will it be a group or different divisions? And then the course organizers, myself or some of the others, will be in touch to finalize those details and confirm the arrangement. The registration fees for the course will be $2,000 per person, with an early bird discount of $1,500 per person before March 28th. There will be group rates available. That will be what those rates are. It depends somewhat on the number of people attending. So we ask as part of that process to reach out to the course organizers and let us know how many from your group are attending, especially as we're going to focus our efforts on kind of keeping companies in specific units. For what attendees need to bring, this is going to be a course for you. So you need not bring any devices or cadavers or materials of your own. We'll be providing those here at Mount Sinai. And really the purpose is to showcase the work happening here currently and our vision for what it can look like in the future. In terms of the target demographic of the bootcamp, who should attend, it's geared towards clinical specialists, but in kind of planning this curriculum out, we've also think it's really valuable for anybody who's involved in the development, deployment, or adoption of new medical technologies, including R&D engineers, business development staff, and in some cases maybe even the executives or leads of various divisions. Regarding tabling, there is a potential opportunity for tabling during the networking reception on May 15th. If that's also something you or your company is interested in doing, again, contact the course organizers and we can make arrangements for that. And like I mentioned on the previous slide, all course attendees can register for the professional networking reception. And then depending on space, additional registrants who maybe aren't attending the course on Thursday and Friday will also be eligible to register and attend. And so these plus other FAQs are available on the course website. But with that, I want to leave some time here for Q&A from the audience. Thank you all for your attention, and we hope to see you in the spring at this inaugural course.
Joe, do you want to stop sharing your screen?
Yes. I think people can message in the webinar chat if they have questions, but in addition to raising their hands, but
Can they be elevated to speak?
yeah, I believe Maggie can also do that.
So you do have a question. What is the maximum number of participants?
The max probably 50, but that's the room occupancy. I think in more practically speaking, we want to keep the units, especially for the hands-on sessions. I think maximize to 10. So more than 10 people from your team can attend. We'll just figure out how to kind of break them up into smaller groups that make sense as they move through the sessions.
Well, Joe, I didn't really understand that. Is it 50 or is it 10?
No, so the full capacity of the space is probably on the order of 50 or more, but we can, for practical purposes, as people move through the sessions, particularly the hands-on demonstrations, I don't think we want 50 people kind of crowded around the table at the same time. So we'll probably have smaller groups of that large attendance moving
Okay.
around.
So just to make sure that Pamela gets her question answered, if there were 40 people, they would all get a good experience
Yes.
because they would be split into groups for the hands-on part.
Yep, that's correct.
Good, thank you. Good, well, I hope that you guys will spread the word. If you don't want to ask a question now, but you do have one, please reach out to us. If you have, the other thing that would be of interest is if you have suggestions for what you think your colleagues would like to see, let us know as well.
We have one more question to discuss some of the sessions that will take place. Yeah, so this will be a combination of lecture formats, and so lectures from folks like Ben and some of our clinical operations staff, discussing their workflows, discussing the way that they encounter problems and address problems in the operating room. I think we want to take a large focus on this needs-based approach and really give the perspectives of the people who are making contact with the product along its journey. And then some of these hands-on sessions will be demonstrations of example technologies that are employed by the department. So this will be using cadaver and syndaver models to showcase some of our more exciting technologies, as well as some of the more established ones that potentially have exciting new applications, or just opportunities to kind of be repitched or re-demonstrated to clinicians. Ben, I don't know if there's any other points you want to.
The last thing, which we didn't explicitly mention, but I wanted to just mention here, is that there will be involvement by many of the surgeons and staff and some other people from the hospital system all throughout the course. And so it may be the case that if you're already working at Mount Sinai, you may work with a certain slice of faculty or staff, and this will be a great opportunity for you and your colleagues to get a more broad exposure to surgeons, doctors, OR staff, and others throughout the health system. So that's, I think, part of what the course content is designed to provide that surface area into Mount Sinai, and especially the networking event will be geared towards that.
Yeah, definitely.
We're really looking forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I don't want to keep folks here too long over our allotted time, but as Dr. Bederson mentioned, if you have other questions that come up, you're welcome to reach out to us. You know, info@sinaibio.design is the email to reach out to for this course. And we'll be in touch. We're happy to. Oops, sorry. Let me update what Maggie sent in the chat. That second link is the one for it, but we'll also send this out to all webinar attendees, so they have a recap of the meeting as well. But thank you all for attending. We hope to see you in the spring. And if you have questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out.